Well, good evening, everybody. I'm using this so people online can hear. I know you guys can hear. Welcome to the June meeting of the North Point Peninsula Council. And start it the way we always do, join with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Praise the Lord.
And Todd Hines, too. Justice for Todd Hines.
You had to be here. Anyway, again, welcome everybody. Before we get started, I want to first thank all of our advertisers who are really important and crucial in supporting the council as far as the sign-up, keeping insurance and all that stuff. But special thanks to Handy Andy, who does the landscaping or the mowing up our side, coming in. Ram Landscaping does all the planting scores and trimmings of all that stuff. And TPA for sponsoring that, making that possible. Before we get along, I just want to remind everybody we don't have a meeting in July or August. If something important comes up in the community, we can always try to schedule something. I'm not sure if we'd be able to do it here. Our agreement is we don't come in July and August. But anyway, we'll get to that crossroad when we get to it. Start right on our agenda then, and we'll invite Officer Briggs to give us our police report.
Okay, so your crime stats are from May 7th to June 3rd. 230 calls for service, 83 reports written, no narcotics, no robberies, no theft of autos, no burglaries. You had 18 theft from autos. So you had one on the 23rd of May on the 2300 block of State Avenue. Somebody forced their way into the vehicle, stole items. And then the remaining 17 of them, typo on my part, the remaining 17 of them were on the 31st of May, all down by Fort Howard. You had 8 that were on the 9100, 9200 block of North Point Road, 5 the 7800 block of Denton, 1 on the 9200 block of Howard Avenue, and 3 on Todd Avenue. 4 of them were only attempts because surveillance cameras showed the suspect attempting, going on the property and attempting to get into vehicles, but they were all locked. And then the remaining ones, the suspect got into the vehicles because all of those vehicles were unlocked. So, we've...
My daughter lives there. She told me they caught that kid, that he lives there.
Yep.
How stupid he is. He lives right down the street.
Kelly's somebody.
So, yeah, well, I don't do out names,
Oh,
but...
sorry.
No,
I'm new. Sorry.
No, I don't.
I can't. His last name's Petty. That's his last name.
Amongst the community, if you all have information and you share it amongst the community, more power to you.
He's an idiot. He got in
You all
jail.
talk amongst yourselves. I don't provide specific names. I don't provide specific addresses. I give 100 blocks. But when you talk amongst yourselves, I mean, the grapevine exists. And I don't stop that. I don't say, don't you dare. I mean, it happens, and it is what it is. So yes, we harp on this a lot. Lock your vehicles. As you can see, 4 attempts were made. Didn't get anything. The rest of the vehicles were unlocked. Things were stolen out of them. Yes, an arrest was made. The person's 34 years old, does live in that area, but an arrest was made in reference to that. So, but that's all I have crime-wise. Any questions, concerns?
He'll be going for another ride.
So we saw on one of the pages that there was a girl hit on a scooter. So.
Getting ready to discuss that one. So on the way in, somebody had asked about that. So yes, yesterday there was, it would kind of go as a pedestrian struck. There was a young lady that was riding around on one of those stand-up electric scooters. She collided with a vehicle. The investigation right now shows that this is the fault of the young lady on the scooter, unfortunately. Right now it's looking like she basically rode out into traffic and made impact with the vehicle that had the right of way on the road. I don't know the extent of the injuries, but yes, that did occur. Unfortunately, it is not the fault of the vehicle, but the young lady that was on the scooter. So, but yeah, so somebody had been talking to me on that way in, and I was gonna.
Still a lot of dirt bikes and stuff running around the neighborhood, so I guess we're gonna have to really just be careful driving, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, we had that issue with the, truck parked on the shoulder of the road, headed out of the community, on that community sign.
Okay.
He was there over the Memorial Day weekend again. So, if you can just take it back and ask your guys during the holidays.
That we will.
If we see him there.
That we will, yeah. Anything else?
Was he, the truck you're speaking of, were they selling something or?
No, tractor trailer.
A tractor trailer, okay, thank you.
I don't know who it is, I have no idea.
What's the deal with all the golf carts that don't have license plates on them?
Okay, so there is a new county code, that, as far as I know, is in effect, that allows golf carts to be on the road under 30 miles per hour, on roadways under 30 miles per hour. As long as they have the appropriate lights and stuff like that. We're still waiting for our legal to weigh in on all of these specifics, because the county code that was written, basically it references a transportation article that applies to a specific town in Somerset, I think it's Somerset County. But it just mimics the verbiage for that and says it applies to Baltimore County. So we're waiting for some specific guidelines from our legal department as to, is it just basically a free-for-all for any road under 30 miles per hour, which it kind of looks like it is. So like I said, we're just waiting for some guidance as to what our legal is kind of telling us we should or shouldn't do.
What about insurance and a license?
So one of the things for that is, according to the transportation article, I want to say 21402.2B or something like that, is that you have to have a valid driver's license. It has to have lights at all. You have to be you have to be able to light it up at all times. But it does not say anything about a license or ORV sticker, which it used to be that you had to have a license on it or ORV sticker, because then you had to get a VIN and everything for you to be. But now I think they're just skipping all of that altogether. But basically, it's under 30 miles per hour or under, valid driver's license and lights. That's the way the law is kind of written right now. So.
Did that come through the county council past that?
Yeah, Baltimore County Code is.
And the county's not trying to make, they're not gonna make any money off of it?
I just.
They gotta be selling stickers or
If it's
something.
county
Waiters
code,
going out making-
if it's county code, that comes from county council, so, yeah.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
Is that under 30 miles per hour for the golf cart or 30 miles an hour speed limit?
30-mile-an-hour speed limit and under the roads. The speed limit for the road, if it's a 30-mile-an-hour or under roadway, the golf cart would be allowed to be on that road.
So, what about seatbelts and car seats for children?
It makes no
Library.
reference to that being a requirement. So that's, again, we're hoping for some guidance from our legal section as to what it requires, because all the county code says is the same exact thing that one law for Somerset, that town in Somerset County, and it doesn't require seatbelts, it doesn't require any of that. So we're just waiting to see if there is something specific that we're, like when we were looking at the law, are we missing something that the legal's gonna say, no, there's other stuff that's in there that, and this is the guideline. So we're waiting, we're hoping for something hopefully soon that says, no, they have to have seatbelts or they have to have child safety seats. Because as of right now, the specifications don't require seatbelts, all it is lights.
And sadly, and I'm probably just speaking for myself, but you can tell us all the laws and rules, nobody's gonna enforce it anyway. You're not gonna get somebody come out, one of them runs into your car and does damage, nothing's ever gonna be done
You're
about
gonna
it.
be paying an uninsured driver on your insurance.
Which you already have.
I'm assuming it's June 1st was when that law was applicable. So, because I've seen a ton of them on the street already.
It's gonna be motorized bike or come back there.
Yeah.
If I keep my car under 30 mile an hour road, can I just not get tagged? Seriously, I got old Peter, I'm not kidding. Man, you're not gonna pull me over?
I know the point you're making, but it's a different class of vehicle.
Oh, so there's a classification on the vehicles there?
Well, the vehicles are classed as, so they'd be Class A vehicles, Class M, EPOs,
Right.
that kind of thing. They're required to be registered. Golf carts don't fall into those classes.
I was wondering, I was gonna, that was the next one.
Yeah. So, but no,
I take the doors off the old Buick.
I get what you're at. Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions?
No? All right.
Chris, have a great summer.
You all have a good
Wait a
summer
minute.
too.
Oh, somebody online, maybe you covered this. What about a driver's license?
Yes, no, I said the driver's license was a requirement. It was the license, lights, and 30 miles an hour or less on the roadway.
Okay.
So, okay?
See you in September.
See you in September. You guys have a great summer.
Thanks for everything, Chris. Okay, Paul Grills. Are you going to give an update on Park North?
I can, I'm not.
Yep. Can you do that? Sure. Just not long, just something brief.
Well, the island's still there.
Yeah, we think.
We So the major issue at Hartmiller Island, there's still Paul Brilski. I am the chair of the Citizens Oversight Committee for Hartmiller Island, and I'm also the president of the Friends of Hartmiller Island. So the big news, and I'm not sure what to do about this because we're pressuring, we've written letters to the secretary. There's no ranger again this summer. Not only at Hartmiller, but also North Point. There is a regional ranger now, Michael Hook, and there's some, I guess there's some seasonals. So we're continuing to pursue that, and we'll continue to pursue that. That's unacceptable. As far as the North Cell, there are 3 options that have been shared with us. There's 3 options of closing that. So I guess we'll be sharing that information shortly in the fall. So, which is good. I think that's the work, that was the pressure that we put on to have something that's reasonable and that's doable as opposed to $47 million, something that's more reasonable. So people have the ability to take a look at those 3 options and weigh in. Because I think what they want to do is have something prepared, I hope, for the legislature so they can get funding for it. And then they can finish the North Cell and we can make the whole thing this park. The other news from the Friends group is we did a couple grants. We got a U.S. Fish and Wildlife grant, which is a trust grant. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife grant has allowed us to bring on board 2 coordinators. Okay, now the grant is a combination with partnering with Masonville Environmental Center, which is incredible. It's the first urban environmental center in the country. So they'll have a coordinator that's going to bring it. We made that decision, and we've made a decision recently to bring in a coordinator, 18-month position, 18-month grant. We're hoping we can continue that funding. So that'll allow us to do things that we haven't done enough. We haven't had time to really take community input and do as much as we'd like to with it. So we'd like to have more input. And I guess, Fran, I don't know what the group wants to do or individuals want to do, but I would write a lot. I would be writing, well, we've already written J.B. Jennings and John Southing, but it wouldn't hurt again. I really would like to know what the condition of the park is. They're going out there on Fridays to clean. Now, the bathrooms will be open. They're going out on Fridays to clean. So I don't know what that looks like. We have an event next Saturday where one of our grants, we're working with the Aquarium. We'll be doing some activities for whoever's out there, kids, and we're doing some cleanup. If you'd like to come along, let me know. So that's we'll be out there. We're going to try to do some additional cleanups out there. But I'd like to know if there's any trash, vandalism, anything. Please let us know, DNR know. Basically, he's good at doing that. Raise hell, and so we're really going to put the pressure on. And in all likelihood, we'll need to be testifying probably to bring this on. So, and it's a shame because we had a grant that we got from Baltimore County for 25 beautiful nature signs that are now up. They're beautiful along the hiking trails. Only dilemma is no one can see because you can't go on the park here. So that's a big dilemma. So that makes a lot of sense. So so I'm like to commit to having a ranger out there shortly. You stirred the pot. We'll continue to stir the pot.
So the trail is going to be closed this summer?
Well, basically, technically, the park is closed. Now, what that means is that gate is locked. You can go out there, you can camp, you can fish, you can actually walk around the fence, but you don't tell me, don't tell me why I said that. Sorry. Don't tell me why I said that. But it's not accessible. This is closed. The lights are locked up. The trail really can't access the trail. It was a shame because if someone goes out there, we've said it's an increased liability. If someone goes out there now, they have access to that themselves, and that's still a construction area, technically. I mean, that's so. So we hope to bring a lot of pressure, a lot of more community involvement. We're going to be doing a strategic plan, so our friends groups, they want to have input to that. They basically start thinking, what do you want on that island? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? And we've been doing the best we can without a plan. Now with a plan, I think we're some good things. So, and we've applied for another grant, a new U.S. Fish and Wildlife grant, and we're going to go after more grants, other funding. So that's about what we're up to. Anything else? Is it? And Fran's your man. I mean, Fran knows as much as I know. More. He's been around longer than I have with the dredging. Yes, sir.
Did you ever try to go to the port, since MES is out there, which is really port money, port property, port tools, or equipment, to have them maybe pay for security out there on a weekend?
MES has been a godsend.
Yeah.
They have provided, for instance, there's no
They're out there
ranger.
Monday through Friday. I'm talking about
That's right,
somebody
Cooper,
for,
James Cooper, James Cooper. In fact, a good example is this, on the 13th, there's no ranger who could drive a boat that can take anybody out there. But Coop is taking us out. So we have everybody's going out on the boat. We just pushed through and got approved for right of access. So we now can actually tie a boat up to that pier. Took us years to do that, but we have just signed a legal
yeah,
agreement.
but I was talking about the port itself paying for security out there. I mean,
Well,
weekend
that's-
security or something. I mean,
It's an idea.
Port's got,
These are
I
the
worked for
ideas.
MES myself for 15 years. Port's got deep pockets. They
These
don't
are-
want nothing. If something happens out there,
Well, that's what
they
he
got
said.
some bad, they don't want that.
You're absolutely right. So those are the ideas we need. We need to get more ideas like that and figure out how can we bring this to fruition. You're absolutely right. Yes, sir.
You said there's a regional ranger between North Point State Park and like Art Miller Island.
Right.
So why are they still paying $3-4 a head kid in North Point State Park if there ain't gonna be a ranger there? Like, you gotta have a pass on the weekends and they only cut off so much.
Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, does it? And part of the problem is they don't make any, Cardinal Islands doesn't make any money. I believe when they shut it down, closed it, wasn't for some advocacy. I think we do have an impact. But you're absolutely right. There should be there was not too long ago a designated ranger, Sean, at North Point, a designated ranger at the island. For years it was Paul behind him, it was Robin Reed. And it's a real problem. And it's sad because it's never been an issue. That island's always been spick and span because of Bobby Island. And I'm concerned about this condition. But I'm asking everybody, all the community organizations, to let us know when there's a problem. Because we're going to take it to the top, and I think we're going to have to, continue to put the pressure on. And we do have the support of Johnny Sally and J.B. Jennings. They've written. I think they're noting. I think they are aware of us. And well, here's a good example. I'll just tell you this. Even though there's no ranger available, dedicated ranger for our event the 13th, Mark Spurrier, who's the Southern Central manager, is coming with us. Isn't that interesting? So we're getting buy-in from DNR at the top level. I don't know what's happening. I have my own thoughts about the management of DNR, Park Service, not DNR, but Park Service. And so we're just going to maybe have to point out some of the concerns we have. And I'm concerned that maybe some of the other parks, other than, because the way it manages it, Mike Hooks reports to Luke Terrell, who's out, his office is out in Jerusalem Mill. He oversees Jerusalem Mill, Hammerman, and the two parks. And then there's DNR, Gunpowder, and some of those other parks. I'm going to have more time. We're
But you don't have to pay to
into.
get in that part, so I mean, like Jerusalem Mill, that's like all fresh water, and it's a nice area. I've done a lot of fishing out there, Jerusalem Mill.
So my concern is equity in terms of how they're addressing or signing the park rangers. Because we all understand some parts of the county get more than others. Yeah.
Hey, Paul, I was curious, the cost it's going to cost us to close the North Cell, and who's paying for that?
Well, there's three options, and the first option, they're still saying $47 million based on 2000, whatever. I can get you the transition. I can get you these plans, briefly. And then the second option is a little cheaper. And the third option is even less expensive because they're not going to do as much, much mitigation.
So I got to follow up with the private funding. Do you have private funding being generated for this?
No, we have not. Foundation, or the NIFWIF is it's a National Wildlife Federation Foundation, and then that's kind of private, and then Chesapeake Bay Trust. But we will be going over, and that business, Chesapeake Bay Trust is really coming from Trade Point Land. That money is really being filtered through Trade Point Land. So at least because they donate to that trust, and they get to kind of select some of the areas. But when we bring the coordinator in, one of the first things we want to do is start looking at private monies. And the nice thing about our partnership with Masonville is Masonville is run by Living Classrooms, and they have a partnership with Aquarium. So, and they have some, they have some private donors. So maybe we can leverage some of that money. But the advantage of Heart Miller Island, I always think, it's not just it's our island, but it really serves the whole Chesapeake Bay. Because everybody from the bay goes up and down an island. So I think we have a larger audience that we have not touched, I think, the funding that's available. Like access. I've talked to people I have a person who has a right price point to have a shuttle going out there. So I think there's a lot of things we can do if we have a plan, or when we have a plan, with community input, with a direction. A good model. I'm going on and on here, right there. A good model. Take a look at the Patapsco Valley, Friends of Patapsco Valley State Park. Their budget is $2.5 million. It's incredible what they're doing over there. Absolutely incredible. So that's kind of our model. We actually talk to them a lot. Their friends group is unbelievable. So we're working a lot with them. And Masonville is developing a friends group. So we'll be working with them. Cox's Creek now has a friends group that got legislated. So, that it going on?
No, don't you want to advertise for members for the Friends group?
The members of the friends group.
Don't you want to ask for some to join?
Yes. See, I have to thank you. I know people like Linda and Fran. We will be reaching out soon. One of the first things the coordinator is going to do, I have a stack of members that we've frankly done nothing. People are just generous. So what we're going to do is go through those, be reaching out to you. We'll be coming here. I'll be bringing Matt Bay is the guy's name, and we'll be actually doing some aggressive, not too aggressive, but some additional fundraising, members. So we just haven't had time. It's like still working full time, another week or two. So, hey, yeah.
How's everything, Paul?
How's everything?
Yeah.
It'll be better in about 2 weeks.
My observation here is when we originally started working on Last of the Pleasure and Hart Miller Island remnants and created HMI, the North South was always kept as a pond for avian migratory rest stop for fowl. Is that gonna, can we keep that in?
Well, the south cell certainly is, and the north cells, I mean, you get the same kind of birds. It is one of the most diverse areas. And the birding population, on our board, Friends Board, we have the Baltimore Birding Club. And actually, someone from the Baltimore Birding Club just got appointed to or will be appointed to the CFC. The birding community is incredible. I mean, they use that island all the time, you know, so yeah, I mean, they're gonna, and there's all kind of the wildlife out of it. There's all kind of wildlife. But our mission really is to you know, to be good stewards. My mission is to make sure my granddaughters kind of have appreciation for the environment, and that the next generation be better stewards than we've been. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I'll come back. I'll try to make it.
Paul is working tirelessly on Mark Miller Island, trying to get this doing a great job. Yeah, but Russ, so as far as the 3 closure plans, they're all a little bit different, but I think they all include, one of them includes a deeper pond, but then it's also going to be shallow water, then mud flats, and then upland. So without looking at all 3 of them in detail, I think that's going to be incorporated in everything we're discussing. And we're going out in July, doing a visit to the island with a lot of the people who are really going to be the decision makers as far as all that goes. And the goal, I think Paul said, is by the end of the year that we finally narrow down a plan, and then that'll be what we go for as far as the closure goes. And then, but it's going to take years. I mean, I don't want to say we'll never see it, but hopefully we will. But it really is going to take years. Look, they stopped receiving material in 2009. And it was supposed to be a 5-year process, and here we are, you know, still trying to figure this thing out. But you know, and I think a lot of us know just from all the presentations over the years, Hart Miller was like it was a classroom, you know. It was like something that had not really ever been done before, so it was kind of learning along the way in the process. And because of that, it's a little more difficult now. But because of that, you have Poplar Island, you have Masonville, you have Cock Creek, you have pools up. There's all different ones that have learned from the lessons from Hart Miller. And now they're working on the 2 restorations called Mid-Bay, James Island, and Barron Island down south. So there's really a lot going on. Thankfully, and a lot of gratitude to the people who have sat on the Hart Miller Oversight Committee, you know, and the scientists and the agency people who come in. I always say, you know, when I went to my first court meeting, I was like, what the heck am I getting into? You know, they talk about in the communities, and I'd never heard of anything like that before. But everybody in the agencies that we've worked with have realized that citizens aren't coming in with this scientific background. And they really do present it to groups and to individuals on these committees at a level that you can understand, so that eventually you are up to speed on what the information is that's coming out. So it's been a lot of people that have made these things successful. That's why it's so important now with Hart Miller. You know, I have a thing, I almost brought it, but back in 2005, I had been on the Hart Miller committee just for a couple years, and they were starting to talk about closure plans. And recreation was not really one of the priorities they were talking about at the time. And I gave Paul these books. They're big, thick manuals and studies, and put together this little document. And it shows every one of these said recreation, outdoor opportunities, whatever that might be. So then it came back online. You know, that's important. It was never promised to this community and to the surrounding communities. It was never said, well, when it's finished, if we have the money, we're going to really make it something nice. It was, okay, we're doing this project, we're going to do it and then make it nice. The money was really never anything out there saying that might be an issue. So, and getting with the legislators, that is really a big part of it, because DNR, they're being pulled so many different directions now. I'm not faulting them on this. They were kind of told, you're taking over this island. But, you know, they have funding constraints and all, but like I say, we have to make sure that our legislators know that this is an important thing, and just contacting them like Paul said. And we're probably going to be going out in, I guess, in January, you know, and doing the hearings on the budget. But anyway, so thank you, Paul. I really do appreciate that. I never really asked Paul to do a presentation, but he did a good job. Thank you. I'm going to deviate a little bit on the agenda now. So normally we have, Paul gave his update. One of the things I want to do tonight, there's been a lot of different issues bouncing back and forth online, a lot of different opinions of things. And I want us to have a civil conversation here tonight and really try to get to realities of some of the projects in just a very brief touch on moment. We're not going to solve anything here tonight. But I wanted to go through, let me do my old business here. So we've seen a couple midges. We were talking about that earlier. I don't know if anybody here lives on the water and seen midges have problems. But Baltimore County has that website, and you can go on and report it. And we did, and we had one day the midges were everywhere. And not because of our call, I'm sure, but they sprayed a couple days later in Bear Creek and Back River, and we haven't seen any in a while. So, and it's all based on the comments from people and where they live, and what areas they choose to spray. So it's real important. If you have a midge problem, find on the Baltimore County website, just do a search, you'll find it, and let them know. One thing I mentioned last meeting was that in front of Bay Vanguard Bank, there's a Defender Square sign. It's got a little soldier in the middle of it. It's a wooden sign. So since then, we've got permission from Bay Vanguard to replace that sign. It's all rotted, and it was put in, I think, in 1995, so it really has served its purpose. But we're working with getting a second estimate. We got one estimate. We're getting a second estimate to have that replaced. So as soon as we get that, the board will have to authorize paying for it, because I think we're going to be paying for all of it. And it's going to be several $1,000s, which is not really a big deal. But as soon as we get more information, I'll probably have something in the summer newsletter. I usually do one newsletter in the summer when we don't have meetings. Our scholarship, Eddie Kreiser gave the scholarship out for us this year, and we were so impressed. We got a thank you card today from the young lady. Her name is Emma Hunter, and she wrote the thank you in cursive. You just don't see that anymore. It's like, look at that. It really is like, look at that. This is unbelievable. Anyway, so that I wanted to say. Something else too that is out there right now that I think is really important for all of us. There is a survey, if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is, from DNR, and they're working on a 10-year plan, and it's really important because this will be their guiding document for the next 10 years, and it's called the Maryland Land Preservation and Recreation Plan, and the comment period for that is open now, and this will go from 2027 to 2037, and they have identified in our district, so Paul mentioned that there's different districts. So in our district, they have identified programming needs and facility needs, and I think they're all important. But the 5 needs for programming is nature programming, kayak, canoe, bicycle equipment, festivals. But you have to read it. It's something that we should all have some input in, what we would like to see in our community. One thing, a couple other things are fitness classes in the parks, historical reenactments and historical programming, public lectures, arts and stuff. So it's all important stuff. So I would encourage anybody who is interested in it. It's called Maryland Land Preservation and Recreation Plan. And you can go find that and make some comments.
It's just in a draft form now, right? It's a draft.
It's in a draft now, yeah. So I don't really have one here when the final will be coming out, but I think the comment period ends the end of June, if I remember right. So don't have a whole lot of time.
What site is that on?
What's it?
You got a website?
You know what? If you go to when I tried to bring one, but it always just went back to MarylandDNR.gov or something like. I think it's right on that at DNR.
Yeah, you're just going to have to search for it.
I think it's MarylandDNR.gov.
We can try to find it and put it on the Facebook page.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I have that. So just an update on Todd's Inheritance. This is our big Flag Day celebration is June 13th and 14th. And so on the 13th, we'll be doing the 30 by 40 foot flag. You know, that's always really a cool thing. People love that. So if you have kids, scout groups, school groups, anybody, or just friends and neighbors and family, bring them over. It's we have Scott Sheets, who is a retired park ranger from the National Park Service, gives a really animated discussion every time we do it. He has a little bit of a variation on the subject, but it's always really, really, really interesting. And so that is really all I'm going to touch on, I think, unless something pops up. I do have something, so I guess, Keith, you're going to probably want to talk about this in a while, but I was asked by TradePoint to give out some websites. Sandy had asked me last month for a contact, and so they gave me these. And if you have questions about the terminal, or if you have questions about TradePoint in general, so for TradePoint in general, it's just info@tradepointatlantic.com. And if you have questions for the terminal, same thing basically, info@tradepointterminals.com. And then if Sparrows Point Terminal thing is info@spct, so Sparrows Point Container Terminal, spctmd.com. Okay? So those are they said that would be the fastest way to get information and get questions asked, or get questions answered. And if anybody wants to ask me after if you didn't get that down, but it's pretty simple. So that's all on that. So, as we all know, it's been pretty active on Facebook lately. And there's a lot of issues in the community, and I think it is important for us to really talk about and have dialogue about. And so, I had a couple things on here. So I don't know, did you want to talk about the kayak launch? Did you have issues with the kayak at all? No, okay.
No, mine was what was happening down at the park with all the construction.
Okay, yeah, I got that on here too. So Stacy asked me about, she saw a truck going up into Fort Howard Park down at the end. And so I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was back in 2024, Rec and Parks had a meeting up at the high school. And it was about to identify what the community would like to see down at Fort Howard Park. So there were a bunch of things, several people were there and recommended different things, but I think one of the hot themes was, fix the bathrooms. They've been broke for who the heck knows. So I talked to Rec and Parks today about I read on Facebook there were some kind of flags that down there people were concerned about. Anyway, I talked to Rec and Parks, and what's going on down there now is part of water line replacement that has to do with the refurbishment of the bathrooms. And so the design of the bathrooms, they said, they're not finished. The design's not finished for the bathrooms, but they're working on the infrastructure because the water lines were old and needed to be replaced in the park now. This is in the park itself. They said the water line replacement would probably be finished in the fall. That was their goal. But I didn't get any information as to when the design would be brought out to the community. I'm sure it will be at some point, of what the bathrooms are going to look like. And then other things, they've done down there. They did the new playgrounds. Did they do a pavilion? Did the pavilion get rebuilt? I don't remember. But the improvements that are happening down at the park now, the county park, were a result of that meeting, is what I'm told. So.
I have a question. Would
Yes.
any of this water line or sewage or whatever lines have any effect or benefit to the hospital property?
Not that we're aware. So I don't have any information if it is or not or isn't. The sewer project at Hall Road, they said, has been in the works for years. That is just called the Glen Echo Interceptor or something like that. That's just upgrades and repairs or things they had to do to that sewer line anyway. I'm not aware of any upgrades that the county's doing for Fort Howard. Just don't know. I just don't know. If there's information out there about it, somebody has it, then they do. But I really have not gotten anything on that.
When they do stuff like that, they have to file for the permit. The permit actually has to say what's being done, correct?
Yeah.
Has anybody looked into the actual black and white of the permit, what's written into it?
You mean for down at the park, for the bathrooms?
Well, and, the road, what is it called?
The sewer line?
Thank you, yeah.
The sewer line was, yeah, they do have to do that. I've never seen the permit itself, but I know there was an issue with that for ownership. If I remember, it was like 2
Maybe
years.
I'll look into it.
Pardon me?
Maybe I'll look into it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll give you the guy's name if you want. The guy from the county.
That's even better.
I'll give you his name. Yeah.
Talk
Just
in the
not-
microphone.
no,
Okay.
But
I'm just wondering what it's actually put in, because I'm just one of them people where I feel like something starts to happen, and then there's that little fine print down below that you might miss on something. So I just feel like we can all say, oh, that's what it's for, they're telling us that's what it's for. But can I see that in black and white? Like, let me look at that permit and just double check that, you know?
It's all done exponentially, so it happens at once. Like 5 projects in there at the same time.
Yeah.
are you guys doing anything with that? That's a county project, right? No. Okay, so the next, so if the kayak, let me just say this real quick. We went down last week, and the beach is really replenishing itself. I mean, there's a lot of sand washing back up, you know, not where all the frag is down the way, but where the ramp is. So much so, I have a picture of it on my phone. A bench leg is probably yay high. Sand has come up so that the bench leg is about yay high. You know, it's like right on the, like a beach chair. So I called the county about it. I guess.
Where that kayak launch is?
Go down there and look at it.
I had to go down there.
The legs are about 6 inches high.
Yeah, I think we could go down.
I'm really surprised. That's a good thing. I think that the sand is washing it, you know.
Yeah.
They say they put a sign so people know
You
where
gotta
it's
watch
at.
that launch, it's slippery.
Okay, which launch?
You know, on the sign. Tell you
Bowers
where it's
Farm
at.
launch?
No.
One is better.
Veterans Park?
Veterans Park. One veterans.
Because I go down there every day and clean up trash or whatever's down there. God help me. What was it, last year or the year before? They decided to dump all their dead skates or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That was me and my husband that had to take a trash can down there, and it stunk so flippin' bad. I was probably cussing online.
What was it?
They were doing am I saying the right, the skates where they go out at night and they
Yeah.
use the arrows?
They both.
Snakeheads.
No.
These are skates.
Skates. I don't know if they take from it, but let me tell you something. I live probably 5 or 6 houses down from the beach, and I could smell it. I was saying, what is that smell? And I was like, But we cleaned it up, but,
Well, we had the dead dolphin wash into our house a couple
Yeah,
summers ago.
I remember
I couldn't
that.
go out of the house. I couldn't go out in the yard. That's how bad it
Yeah,
smelled. I
I
couldn't go in the
remember
yard.
that. Yeah.
So,
and I guess
Okay.
there's nothing we can do about the caterpillar growth down there. Is that caterpillar?
no, Fragmity.
So when I lived on, this is the truth, when I lived on Avenue C, that didn't even exist. We had that whole beach. My kids would go down there and play, and it's like it's all starting to take over. I guess we're just gonna let the beach like just be eventually taken over to the ramp.
Well, that's an interesting beach because
Question?
probably 20% of it is owned by the county and the rest is part of North Point State Park. We just had, DNR has a program. DNR has a program for homeowners that if you have a shoreline that you want to establish a living shoreline or something like that, they'll come out and they'll help you with that. I think they even have grants for it. As far as I know, there's a law in the state of Maryland that is an old law now, but the state is obligated to control fragmity. They used to spray Hart Miller all the time. So the shoreline at Todd's at Shallow Creek there was open years ago, and now it's all full of fragmity. Well, the people came out and looked at it, and they said it's a pretty good stabilizer. You know, they wouldn't really even do anything anything with it. It really has created a nice green space between the water and the field, and it doesn't look good to me. I mean, I'd rather have the view down the bay, but that's probably going to be their opinion over at the beach, at Sandy Beach, you know.
County doesn't like to dig it up.
No.
We don't, that work don't like to dig it up.
So, but yeah, I remember when we moved there, I mean, 40-some years ago, it was all the beach. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah. So anyway, enough like mentioned piers or boat ramp. The Bowers at Shaw's Discovery Boat Ramp there, the county has, you know, we've complained about that for years now, since it was put in that it wasn't ADA accessible and all. So the county has gone down recently, and they have taken out this little makeshift thing that was on the end to get to the pier, and they put in a nice sloped ramp. I guess probably this slope is within the ADA requirements, you know. And then one thing they've also done on the outside of it, so it's like the ramp is in the middle, and then you have the two piers, they put a railing, so I guess people can fish and lean on it or whatever like that. So, I mean, at least they've done something to it. It's still not perfect. It's supposed to be ADA accessible, and that's really not, in my
So you have
opinion.
put a sign at the road telling people where it's at yet?
No. Well, we should ask Chris. Remember, he didn't even think the county owned the road yet. He said,
I mean, it's there, how's anybody gonna know it's there?
Barrett Farm Road.
yeah, we're in
There's
the
all the other
back.
marinas and ramps, they got that little blue county thing with the arrow.
Yep.
They need to make streets.
They got nothing there, now you gonna know it's there.
So I think we dispelled the rumor about schools last month, at least from the information that we got from the county and from DNR. So I haven't heard anything more about that.
This is the rumor about the school being on
About
the
school being
park
built
property.
on park property.
Yeah.
So we did find some information. Here's some things. You know, the county was looking at that, and that was back in 2023. I think. Remember when all that they were looking for land for a new high school, and the county was looking to trade properties. You know, and that's where the conversation came in about the park down at Fort Howard. I mean, down at Milizano. All that property that the county had bought, and that was what we were told was that was supposed to be part of the land swap deal, but then DNR, you know, said they weren't interested in doing that. So I don't know what's going to happen with that piece of property down there.
I just questioned, didn't Mr. Hall say that he was getting pressured to sell his property?
Well,
In order to make another property for a land swap, didn't he come up the last couple of meetings and say that?
So yeah, so what we found out was that it's actually, and I don't really want to get into all the detail. I mean, it's just I don't want to open up this whole can of worms again. But basically, they were looking at that vacant lot, not the marina, is what we were told.
Okay.
And so that would have just been preserved as open space. But it didn't happen anyway. So, but some of the homeowners, you know, there was all that talk about people losing their parking and all that crap. One of the homeowners talked to the guy who actually owns that lot. You know, that's not going to happen. So I'm told. Like I said, I don't want to get all that started. Okay,
What,
so
can I say, the captain of the fire department, Chief Elway says, mark your calendars for October 11th. The North Point Edgemere Volunteer Fire Department is having an open house for our 90th anniversary, open for the community with displays, demonstrations, games, food, and many other activities, and it's free. Look for more information coming soon on our sign, Facebook page, and website. October 11th.
okay, good. 90 years.
Wow.
Good God.
He doesn't even look that old. No.
Okay, so I guess Fort Howard is a gigantic topic again. I get so aggravated. These politicians are all out there now. We got to save Fort Howard. I mean, where are they when it's not election time? Number one, but number two, how are we going to do it? You know I don't know what the answer is. How we're going to do it. It's not to say we want it to be a park. We want it to be this. Russ just told me what he wanted it to be. beautiful. I mean, I agree with that, everything everybody wants to do. But how are we gonna do it? That's where the rubber hits the road. You know, like I say, it's election year, let's get everybody all riled up. Where's your solution? You know, some of these guys have been there for 14 years. And I'm not disparaging any of them. But if you're gonna get out there and start rousing everybody up again, how are you gonna do it? Has anybody talked to the VA? I mean, the VA has told us, when was John Infantino here? 15 years ago? The VA said they're not coming back. They're not interested in it. Can our politicians, can our congressmen make that happen? Did you ask them? You know, I didn't ask them. They kind of stay away.
You gotta find them first.
You did?
They said nothing, yeah, they said nothing, they said nothing's gonna happen, that it's like you said, it's election year, people are just throwing this out there, but if you live in the community, that's not good enough for us, you know, so, yeah.
It's the same thing with the schools.
The same thing.
Like the Fort Howard schools are like the same issue. I mean, you live in this community, you know, you ask questions, nobody will give you an answer.
Or they'll say nothing's happening.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's gonna all happen at once. I'm gonna wake up in the morning, we're shutting a new school and the neighborhood down, fence down the VA.
I mean, you've got...
In so many words.
If you think about Fort Howard, there are a lot of requirements before anybody can build. You have, number one, the environmental thing going on, you know, with not only what was buried down there all those years, but you have your setbacks from your river, you know, from the river, from you have the historic thing, so whoever goes in there is I'm come up with the number 20 million, that might not be accurate, but you're walking through that door with debt because you have to restore those houses. And it's not an easy project. Yes, Ross?
What I'm working on right now, I was told before, and this was 10 years ago.
Wait a minute. If there people are going to talk, they're going to have to come up here because they're not going to be able to hear you online. I don't think they'll be able to hear you on it.
Got a bad hit.
Okay.
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 Well, just tell me now.
Okay, pretty simply, I was told by, I made the calls and the inroads with the National VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars in Arlington, and I was told that they would go in and support that, bring it back, if we had the support of the state head of VFW and that. So that's what I'm intending, that's what I'm trying to do right as we speak. Federal VFW and the state VFW, and then the AOLs, both of them. If they come in, we'll see something happen.
Okay, so Russ said that he talked to the national VFW head,
Right.
and he said they would support veterans housing, or
Restoration, bring VAMC back.
the national would support bringing the property back to a VA facility.
Right.
If the state head would support it, and Russ is in the process of getting in touch with that person, right?
Coordinate and negotiate, right.
Okay. So who would negotiate, the VFW with the Veterans Administration?
At the end of the day, yeah, it would probably be that the American Legion and the VFWs, that's how it would be brought in. And at the end of the day, I'm thinking it's just, we owe veterans more than we could ever pay. So this is one of the best spots. If they had to recover, I worked there in 1980 and 1990, hands-on, escorting First World War, Second World War, Korea, and Vietnam. Got to meet some fine veterans, and they love that place. I mean,
Well, I hear you, and everybody has a story and knows somebody, and God bless everybody that was there and worked, and rest in peace everybody who died there. But sentimental stories are not going to save the property. I mean, we got to get at it. If that's what you want to do, you got to get with the people who can make it happen.
right.
Yes.
Hey, Fran. So we have been looking into, I got a letter drafted already, making it a national park / memorial. And that way we can bypass Congress and hopefully just go right to president, whoever the president is at the time. And get that written as a national park / memorial.
Executive order.
So have you looked, I looked into that too a while back, and there's criteria for properties to fit to be made into a national park. Did you?
Yes.
Did you look at that? Okay.
Yeah, the major one's historical. So if, obviously, we can make that historical. It is historical. So if we made it that way, then obviously it's, and this is again, like HMI, it's going to take private funding, it's going to take bonds and grants, but if you get a partnership together, you can't have somebody from Fort Howard screaming, this isn't going to happen because we don't want people down here. And then you got people up here in Edgemere going, hey, listen, we can make it a memorial, we can make it a national park. We all need to come together as a unit. And then make it a mission. We need to make Fort Howard, we need to make the Hart Miller Island all a mission for us in this area. Because we own it. That's how it works. And if you want to restore something, you want to preserve history, you have to fight for it. It's got to be a mission.
No, I don't disagree with you. That is one that's with the park. With North Point State Park, we are such a unique park.
Yes.
I mean, there's probably no other James Island, but that's attached to land. I mean, there's probably no island park that I know of, and maybe there is, but yeah. So it's good and bad because what the Park Service is saying, okay, here's our budget. We have this amount of money. Now, here's our dilemma. Do we put that money into a place where people really can't get to unless you have a boat, or do we put it into a park that services whatever the population wants to do?
Yeah.
So just like Fort Howard, it's certainly not simple. It's not simple. It's very, very complicated. Yeah. And believe me, I even thought maybe it would be worth it for the community to hire a mediator. Somebody who doesn't have all of these stories and all of these passions. If there's really going to be meaningful discussion about that, then you need somebody who can put all that aside and say, okay, here's the path we're going to take. It's going to be successful or it's not going to be successful. But I get it, believe me. But it just aggravates me when every election, all this stuff comes up again, and then it just carries on. Well, I would be willing, at the council, if we wanted to bring the developer in, and if he's talking to anybody, we'll bring the developer in like we did. Last time he was here, it was a circus. People yelling and screaming, and I'm not bringing anybody in for that. It's not fair to them, it's not fair to us.
Well, I'm lucky he didn't come to the VFW meeting because I had asked him, I talked to him on the phone, he was going to come, him and Steve. And I'm kind of glad he didn't because it didn't get out of hand, but at the same time, it kind of put a spark into the people. You know what I mean? I mean, people looked at it as like, oh, it was a crap show. It wasn't a crap show. It brought attention to what we need to do and how we can act as a community to do it. So I didn't think it was a crap show at all, but he would probably got beaten on. So. Oh,
there's no doubt about it. Look at the hearing, the CZMP at the high school.
Yeah. Yeah, it got kind of, he brought that up when he was talking to me, so. Yeah. I just want it to be, and you know what, we can use it for disabled veterans. There is all kind of organizations out there that build homes or refurbish historical homes for disabled veterans. Like if you got your arms cut off or shot off or your legs or you're blind, they do all this, and it's at least a dozen organizations. So we can partner up with them, with private funding, with grants and bonds. We get the legislators, we get the county council. We can do this. It just takes, like you say, we have to have a plan. We have to have a plan of what we want to do in Fort Howard. So you just can't go in there and go, let's do Fort Howard, let's get it fixed up and make it for veterans. No, you got to have a plan. You got to say, how are they going to sustain themselves on Fort Howard if you're disabled? You're going to have some sort of store there.
Rose, I'll get you 1 second. So years ago, when they started talking about this, they were talking about...
Put the microphone closer.
They were talking about bringing veterans who needed assistance. It would be some kind of Now, from what I remember, it's not transitional housing they're proposing, it would be permanent housing. But for successful assimilation back into society, there were three things. One of them was jobs, one of them was medical care, and one of them was transportation. And they've proven those three things, you can have a successful VA facility. They have them all over not all over, but they have them in the country already. So look at Fort Howard. The VA says they're not coming back for medical care. We don't really have any doctors here. Jobs, got tons of jobs at Trade Point. It might as well be 100 miles away. You're not going to walk to work. And transportation, I don't think people want transportation. I mean, that's been the number one thing for 30 years.
Yeah, but if it was a VA facility, couldn't they, or whatever, could they, have a shuttle or some sort of transportation?
They did that for a while, remember? They had a shuttle. I guess they can, but that the VA would have to do that. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit.
Right.
It's not like one of the delegates said, keeping it for veterans.
Yes.
I mean, it's not simple. It's not that simple. But it could be a park. It could be a great park.
Yeah.
It could be a great asset to the community.
Yeah.
Somebody, I forget who just mentioned Fort Howard. You're going to turn it into a park with a promenade, and some people in Fort Howard don't want people coming to Fort Howard. So now you're going to deal with that. But that's where I think a third party could help. That's where, there's a lot of us in the community that don't really get along. And so you're going to go in there with an attitude, not you or me. I'll go in there, and it's just human nature. And I think if we had a third party who could really sit down, like the port does with the dredge site. Went to many community meetings where they wanted to put a dredge site in, and these people were outraged. They did not want that in their neighborhood. And through these third-party contractors that they would hire, they would go out to the community groups, they would have community meetings, all this happened, and I don't remember one that didn't come to fruition because there was a benefit. One of them up in Cecil County, people did not want that at all. They had one that was closed, they wanted to reopen it. They said, what can we do? What can we do for you that would maybe change your mind? They got a whole new water system. They were all in wells that were polluted. Yeah. They went miles and miles with this new water system and gave these two communities. So I think basically what I'm saying is there could be a solution if people could just get together, and that's what you said, So I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think that may be something that we could talk about. Where could we get some funding for that? Maybe the county has, mediation funding. They have a program. If you have arguments with your neighbors or something, it's a mediation program. They'll come in and they talk to both. We talked about that years ago. Maybe something like that. But just saying we want it to be a park, we want it to be this, we want it to be that, it's going to just bounce around forever. And I don't know if any of us, some don't care, but I don't know if most of us want those buildings and all that just to deteriorate and fall down and become an overgrown jungle.
And I hope the legislators and the councilmen are listening to this because they need to be cleared out. We need fresh blood in there. People that look at something differently. They've done nothing for us. And I don't care. And I don't care if they like that or not. I'm sorry. Yeah. And like you said, where are they? Every time we have a meeting or something like that on something important, there's a no-show. No-show.
Well, I think part of the reason that they don't come to those things is because they're afraid to get beat up. I mean, I know that's part of their job, but the community has to talk, have to be able to talk to, not just that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Some of them live down here from time. Johnny Oshesky lived down here for the longest time.
Yeah.
Rose, did you?
My comment is, I'm not in favor of any meeting that brings the developer in unless you're in favor of development. We all know what he wants, a lot. And there's nobody in this 2 zip codes that wants a lot. And for that thing to work, for him to have the money to fix that hospital and those houses, you're talking about a lot of money. I mean, he's got to make his money back somewhere. So,
right.
You need a federal entity.
So
and the VA's that
go
entity.
through your.
Oh, yeah.
disposition.
So, you know, there, with federal property, and we've talked about this before at meetings years, somebody said, why don't you go to me, you know, hit me, why don't you go to these meetings, these Fort Howard meetings? We have been going to meetings for 15 years. You know, we have heard everything that came out at all these meetings. All these meetings are advertised. We're having a meeting in 2 weeks, and we're bringing all this information out that's never been brought out before, and we're going to, whatever comes out. No, it's all rehashed stuff in most cases. Old pictures, you know, old pictures from developers that are long gone. But anyway, I think we have to, you know, one thing that we might want to keep in mind is if all the intentions of the community is to make it a park and all that works out, well, fine. If it doesn't work out, then the federal government has a process for disposing property. And I'm not saying this in a scare way or anything. It's a fact. So I pulled the list out, and so excess property, so they'll call it, so if the VA can't do something with it, and if the VA says we don't want it anymore, and we can't come up as a community with something that'll work, then it will go back to the VA. They say to GAO, we don't want it anymore. GAO declares it as excess property. It's excess federal property. So here, I'm just going to read it. Oh, GSA, not GAO. GSA. First is, they offer it to other federal agencies. If a federal agency has a need, the property can be transferred to that agency. So that's federal agency. If no federal agency wants it, this says it becomes surplus property, and it can be used available for other uses through public benefit conveyances, including homeless use, negotiated sales, public sales based on determination of the property's highest and best use. Okay. I guess if that doesn't happen, if it's next again, here's the same thing again. If a property is suitable for homeless use, according to the Department of HUD, we must first consider transferring the property as a homeless conveyance before any public benefit conveyance can be considered. Well, that's not a good thing, you know, before any public benefit. I mean, that's what we're talking about this whole night, public benefit. Then they can negotiate it for sale to the state or to the local government, or then it goes to just the general public can buy the property. But it's on the historic, you know, the houses are on that historic list, so I think whoever we get that would still have that obligation. Maybe the solution is to get those houses off of the historic list. Eliminate all that upfront responsibility. Maybe, who knows?
I was thinking eminent domain as well.
What's that?
Eminent domain, where it's been a historical property, we can as a public and a private entity, you know, have legal counsel to take the land over.
Well, I think eminent domain has to be for public use. I mean, for utilities or for roadways or something like that. I don't know if eminent domain for a park. I never heard of that before, but maybe they could.
What did they do over there in Essex, where they were by that ice house and all? They were taking those people's property. That was eminent domain. And what did they want to do with that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Was that housing? Wasn't that?
That was
housing?
at 509.
Well, the beautiful thing, there's
That's
nobody
not
living there.
okay.
There's nobody living on Fort Howard, so that's a huge.
Yeah, well.
The one thing that needs to be brought out about all this, when they terminated the EUL program, VA Title 39, back in 2011, December 31st of 2011, it was terminated, that whole enhanced use lease federal program. They brought it back in 2015, the difference being that's any tax-paying citizen owns part of that. So the thing is, they cannot take an EUL program and cede it to the developer after a given time. That's against federal law. Because that's public domain, it's private. It's not commodities for sale.
And talk about terrible things happening. They claim that, and this is just gossip, that a developer that had their hands on that property before this guy. And remember we were having house fires down there? They said they were deliberately set so that he wouldn't have to restore the homes.
I don't know if anybody proved that, you know, I don't.
Huh?
They called the guys, didn't they?
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they called the guys. That's why the house stopped getting burnt down. That was the roof.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
I feel like we're beating a dead horse.
Yeah, okay. Do you have anything you wanna?
Yeah, I want to talk about the dredging that's going on out there.
Okay,
That was my video that I took on June 2nd
okay.
of them using non-environmental buckets. Can they have a cease order? Are they still doing it? I wanted to be out there today to see if they're still doing it.
So, all right, when I saw that, I looked it up, and I went to the Corps of Engineers, and here's the thing called the Dredge Material Disposal and Best Management Practice Plan, I don't know, April 2026. Keith, I sent this to you, I think. So, according to what I saw, let me see the date, on March 31st, the Corps of Engineers answered a request back that Trade had put in because we have had, I'll give you this too
No,
if
I
you
have a
want.
copy of that, but
Okay.
that was a waiver until May 30th.
Yeah.
And I filmed that on June 2nd,
Yeah.
and there were 3 backhoes doing that.
Yeah.
So
So
they should be in violation.
No, just wait, read.
Just wait. So, if you look at, so they were digging from land, right? They weren't out on barges dredging. They were digging from land. And I'm just reading it, so I'm not saying right or wrong.
Okay.
You can, it says dredging, May 30, okay, dredging. Let me see if I can find this thing.
I can show you.
You know where it is?
Yep.
Basically, they are not considering reclaiming slag from onshore cranes as dredging.
Oh, my God.
There. Oh, it said, yeah. This restriction does not apply to in-water slag reclamation performed with land-based equipment with the deployment of a turbidity curtain. And it looks like there's a turbidity
There
curtain
is
in
a
there.
turbidity, and is that 30 feet deep, that turbidity curtain? Because that's how far down that backhoe was going. I mean,
Oh, was that on land, Sam, your video?
they were on land
Okay.
with these backhoes, 3 of them, pulling up all that slag and slush going everywhere and dumping it back on the land. I mean, it's not dredging, but what is it? It's a
Slag, they
mess.
call it slag reclamation. I guess they're gonna, it's like, you know what slag, it's like rock, so.
To reclamation.
No.
Change the name.
Well, they reuse the slag.
So it'll change
They
the
reuse
name.
the slag.
Dredging
The
to
dredge, when they dredge, well, when they dredge, they dispose of the material.
Now, what the dredge like?
Yeah, but what, so,
I know they don't.
look, I don't have, I'm not taking up for them, I don't have the answers, I just found the information that I figured somebody was gonna ask. So I gave I gave you the contact, info at TI, whatever it was, write them and ask them.
So we were just curious, did you get that on the 31st of March? And if you did, why wasn't it a decision to share it with people?
No, we didn't get it. It's in the documents that Trade Point has online. If
Okay.
you go out,
Okay, so Fran just pulled it up just
yep.
the other day.
When we
You
saw
can
your
go right
video, we
online
looked
and
at
pull
it.
it up, yeah.
I'm not accusing you of anything, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if there's information that comes across that's like that, obviously you're gonna get that out to people.
Well, Sandy asked the question last month why they were still dredging, and they answered her that they had gotten a waiver, an extension for 1 more month.
No.
They didn't answer me. They said, write the info, and I didn't see that because that came up after.
Oh, okay.
You know, yeah, they just said, if you want more information about dredging, email this, which I didn't see until the other day because
Oh, okay.
it's in a response, you know, I just got out of the hospital that day.
Right.
emailed you guys to say, are they dredging down there? So regardless of what this paper says or whatever, that stuff is toxic, what they're doing down there. And what can we do about it? I mean, that stuff is gonna float into our Old Grove Bay. You know, they're getting away with calling it reclamation of slag. That slag is full of all that stuff. You know, when they did the whole, presentation about what they're gonna do down there, they talked about dredging, not reclamation of land with backhoes that get into all that muck. What can we do about it? It's terrible. Take a boat and look at it. It breaks your heart to see that.
So we need somebody that can contact Trade Point, okay, and start discussing them, because you do realize they already pre-planned to come all the way around to our river, to that corner, to start bringing ships in. So this is just the beginning. So we need somebody that can represent the community, go to Trade Point. We used to have a person that came here from Trade Point. What was his name?
Aaron.
Aaron?
Well, he has their interest at heart. He doesn't have our interest at heart.
Hey, Fran?
No, I understand, but we need somebody from here, like somebody to speak for us, right?
That's why you have elected officials, where they at?
Well, that's the point, and that's why I'm sorry, I don't know your name. That's why he was saying, the elected officials right now, they're not showing up for
They'll get
us.
reelected, they'll be back.
So hopefully this new election coming up, we pick the right people that can speak for us, and that's the bottom line. But it's gonna get worse. I mean, they already have it planned.
It is.
Hey, Fran?
Yes, Steve.
So obviously, back last August of '25, I privately paid for 3 samples off the east coast of Cove Point. Cost me a lot of money. So I had the samples taken to New Jersey out of state to keep the conflict of interest down. And then the samples were taken to a lab in Virginia. Both of these entities, Mid-Atlantic and Aqua, are all certified for the state of Maryland and around the country. So when we got the data back, we didn't want Trade Point Atlantic to go, look at this, and then try to cover things up. So that's why we held on to the data. Now we have released the data, and the ammonia is 700% more than the EPA recommendation for brackish water. And ammonia kills everything. So it doesn't matter whether those curtains are 50 feet long or 50 miles long. It's not going to stop that ammonia from killing everything in that river. And here's the thing. So I haven't seen perch in about a decade for some reason. I'm not sure why. But all of a sudden, 2 days ago, I get 12 dead perch on my bulkhead. And I'm like, wow. So they're migrating, by the way, as you all know. Yellow perch, white perch, Manhattan, they're all migrating. So the minute they go through the Patapsco and that ammonia starts to kick out, we're going to have more fish kills. So I sent that out, and so what we're asking is why we haven't, as you as a council, stepped up to say, hey, listen, we have this data. Well, we got a meeting coming up, and I made you a part of it, so we can tell the community here what Chesapeake Bay Foundation and what Blue Water is going to do for us. So they have legal counsel and everything else that can help us out with this.
So have you talked to the EA Engineering who did the original?
Of course.
And so what are they saying about it?
Nothing.
So I think it's important at the conference call on Monday to get that third party looking at it. So it's Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Who you send it to?
So Paul Chanel, I sent it to him, and I sent it to Alice from Blue Water.
All right.
And but she's already added people on the conference, by the way. So
Okay, good.
So they'll be all on there Monday. Yeah, I would love to get EA on there, just to have them explain why they never tested ammonia in their 2023 risk assessment.
Well, that's a good question. You should email them and ask them.
I already have. They won't respond. So, and I know Brian Hall and everybody else, they're not going to take the engineers are not going to lose their certification for that. Well, if you don't test everything that's going to kill the life in the river, then that's on you. You should be held accountable for that. So, and like I said, those curtains don't stop at the moment. And this was only by the way, it was only 6 feet deep. These guys are dredging. You saw the dredge machine. It's going to go 52 feet. You cannot imagine. I worked at Bethel Steel for 12 years. You cannot imagine what's off the coast of Cove Point. It's devilish. It's a killer. It's a toxic grenade. And anybody that supports this, I don't want any part of it. Anybody if this council supports that, or the veterans support, I'm out. You can count me out because that's
Supports what? Dredging?
yeah. I mean,
So-
we want this to happen, but we want them to do it in an environmentally clean way.
So my basic question, whenever we have conversations, not you and me, but whenever there's conversations like this, the state hires engineers to do surveys and all. So what you're saying, no, I wouldn't say that. So as a citizen, I'm not a scientist. Do I not believe what these people are saying? Or do I say, look, we're paying them a lot of money, they're professionals, they do this for a living, do I believe them? There's probably, I guess you guys are saying, don't believe them. As where I'm sitting, I have no reason to believe that they aren't honest, that they're not doing the best reporting all this stuff. You could probably find little caveats along the way, but
No, what's frustrating, Fran, is in 2011, EA, the same company, said that soil and that spoil was so toxic. No, the state of Maryland, no, you cannot put a terminal there. No. And then they put signs out 5 miles in circumference of Cove Point. Don't eat the shellfish. Don't eat the fish. No swimming. 9 years later, nothing has happened to the same spots. And as you all know, as a scientist and a chemist, maybe I'm certain you've got that field behind you, is that the half-life of those carcinogens and everything else is close to 400 to 500 years. And it was they did that for 120 years. Made coke there. And go ahead and look up how you make coke from coal and what you get out of it. It's just, and then you get these stories from Turner Station that the gentlemen that work there at Cove Point, they're dead. You can't get any conversation through them. They pass. People that work at Cove Point are dead. So that's what's inside that water. You had barrels, they had 55-gallon barrels at 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. those barrels were gone. So
I've heard stories, we've all heard stories. Yeah, Russ.
One comment. There's a movement going in the background as we speak right now. It involves EPA, Region 3, NOAA, and the other 8 federal agencies. I'm a little ticked with them. They know what lies was buried all over Sparrow Point. They have decades of analysis and court cases and everything else. Not one of them stepped up into the light and said, hey, we better take a closer look at this. None of them. There was zero response from them. But now, EPA is sitting in the wings right now, watching what's going on. And that stuff that went out, it went out of 209 outfall pipes over 120 years. That material, when it gets in the water and it's covered by sediment, guess what? It's still as potent as the day it was pumped out there, just like sulfuric acid in brown glass fill in a laboratory shop. It doesn't diminish. The minute you open that site up and start stirring it up and getting oxygen in the liquid, you have to start the whole breakdown thing again, and that's when the danger comes. We don't want to lose, I don't know anybody here, do we want to lose a half a century of restoration work? Everybody's going on and boasting about the stripers and everything else you got. Well, we like to keep that going, and there's a way to do that. I made it out for J Point, they didn't want to listen. So the whole thing is, it's not really about what they want to do, it's about what the federal law says they want to do. If we turn up one of those chemicals in the concentrations that are way out of tox, that project will be stopped until they compromise. mines all those toxins, you know, for a minimum of 2,000 years. So that comes to all the sins at Sparrow's Point will be contained, will not go anywhere, will not mess up our waterways. What do you think's going to happen when they're doing this dredging with the clam? I don't care if you had steel bids on the clamshell dredge bucket. AES tried that with a gas plant. That didn't go either. We flopped. Not with the Fed. So the whole thing is, what we want to see is a living waterway for now and for all the rest of the current forthcoming generations of all life in our region.
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean,
I just want, so Trade Point has put some comments online, and as we said earlier, we gave you some information, email addresses to contact them. So they said they are happy to have a conversation about the permitted activities that are happening now. That's info@spctmd.com. They also did, you can go to that www.spctmd.com, and all of the environmental impact statement is there. And they did make a comment that ammonia was tested, and the results are documented. So, okay, so.
So I think where we are right now is I'm looking forward to that meeting on Monday.
Me too.
To see what they say.
So here's the thing, anything that's changed on this permit, by the way, needs to have public input. They can't just change the permit and say, okay, well, now we're just going to do whatever we want to do without any public input.
Well, it certainly looks to me like the Corps of Engineers went through their due diligence to change are you talking the dates?
No, I'm talking about if they have to do it as a public input. So they either have to put it in the paper or have a meeting or something else saying, hey, listen, we're changing up the way we do our dredging or the way we do our shoreline remediation. That just can't be changed in a letter and just say, okay, well, we're changing it.
Now, where did you see that? Why can't they make adjustments without doing a whole public hearing?
Yeah, federal law, because it's a federal permit.
Right. EIS.
So anytime there's an amendment, they need a public hearing?
Of course.
Okay, I don't know that. Yeah.
Well, they said to contact them at about those permitted.
Okay, and the other thing is, water is owned by the people, by the way.
Correct.
So when I heard at a meeting, this is just hearsay that, oh, well, go talk to Keith Taylor. What he said to us. Now, I know it's a figure of speech, but that scares me. That scares me a little bit. So
Not an appropriate comment, for sure.
no, and I get it. I know it's a figure of speech, but I'm just like, and I'm going to tell you right now publicly, anything happens to me and my family, you know where to go.
Hey, where we heard this before? Never mind.
So
yes.
Who are the police on this project? Who is it? The Army Corps of Engineers that would come in and say they're in violation of something and shut it down?
I would think
Or is it
EPA.
the EPA? Is it the Maryland Department of the Environment? Because my gut tells me something is wrong over there. I'm sorry if I'm a little hysterical about it. I saw it. It is horrible.
And Fran, who's taking the samples? Who's taking every sample that comes up from that? I mean, you look at that, it looks like tar that they're bringing up. So is the EPA taking samples of it?
You have to ask them. There's no way I know all the answers to this.
So isn't there a group of people that go every month to a meeting with them? Like you guys are sitting around the table?
Yes.
Every month?
I don't think it's I think it's every quarter, but I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay, so you're part of the table.
Not only the council, but there's many other people. A whole room of people come in. Yeah, and
This Maria Teresi, we need to contact her and let her know that something is going on over there.
Isn't her?
She is with the Army Corps of Engineers. She's the one that addressed this letter that is to Pete A at Trade Point Atlantic saying there was a waiver on the dredging, but that this restriction does not apply to in-water slag reclamation performed with land-based equipment with the deployment of a turbidity curtain if operationally feasible.
So can she also provide all the different permits that were done?
They
That?
are available online. You can go, it's a thick.
It's an 1,100.
I have a
That's
whole,
looking at permits is a really good place to start.
Yeah.
And then you can see the change, and just like Keith just said, they cannot do that without notifying the public, rather it be in a newspaper, local, and they should have had signs up everywhere. That's
Maybe
the
we need to
law.
get them here next month, I mean, we need to have a July meeting, get them here next month, so they can, come in and say their side, like, we don't know it.
Well, so Trade Point always comes in the fall. They'll be invited back again. Their environmental guy usually comes with them. So when we have this meeting, get the result of the, from whoever Keith just said, I forget, we'll have more questions to ask.
Chesapeake Bay Foundation and Blue Water, and there'd be a couple of other organizations there.
well, this is interesting in this document that I have here. It's from Water and Science Administration titled Wetlands Division. And it has a part about turbidity monitoring plan. And I've highlighted a couple things, but it says no work authorized in this license can commence prior to the Tidal Wetlands Division approval of the turbidity monitoring plan. So there must be a monitoring plan for that turbidity curtain that's out there. So we could request to see that, but it also says that it will provide benchmarks and corrective actions if those benchmarks are exceeded. Now, who's measuring that? Because right in here, it talks about turbidity monitoring and benchmarks.
So people are asking questions, they're communicating with Trade Point online. So when you get out of here, you can go to this video and look in the comments. Trade Point has listed links to documents, and somebody asked a question and they told them a certain page of the 1,138 pages where you could find the criteria and stuff. So look at those comments when you get a chance. They've got a lot of links on here. It's not real.
The issue is not to stop them, because it will happen.
We want the jobs.
All of the pipes are out there on big barges. I mean, they have multiple cranes and stuff. It's just, can they do it in a safe way and assure the public that there's not going to be any problem with our waters? It's just,
Well,
can they reassure us? Not by saying, look it up in 1,100 pages,
Well, no, these are people who ask, where can I see such and such? And that was the response. They didn't say, look it up in 1,100. Somebody said, where can I see the such and such? And they told them a page. That's all I'm saying.
So I guess.
But I think we need Trade Point here. We can't have a one-sided
Yeah, we
conversation.
can't have a one-sided conversation, and there's no way that we know all the answers to this stuff.
Hey, Frank?
Yes?
So when Trade Point did their sampling, I think they did over 500 samples, they said. It cost them $500,000. We're more than that. $5 million. We took 3 samples at $20,000 and found the same, almost probably the same results, but even worse. We saw carcinogens and the ammonia that was just above the EPA thing. We only had 3. They had over 500. And it's like, come on, man, really? I mean, so that just tells you right away there's something, I don't know, something just smells fishy, so to speak.
Well, we'll definitely get them back in the fall, and hopefully a lot of these answers and questions will be addressed. All I can say is the website and the page, the addresses to ask questions are there for a reason. We'll put them on our Facebook page, make sure everybody gets them.
We want to go on record by saying, listen, we want the jobs, we want the terminal, we don't want the trucks, obviously. But, you know, anything that makes Maryland prosper and the community prosper, not just Trade Point Atlantic. Every time I hear them, how they're doing so well and everything else, nothing's ever brought up about what they're going to do for the community. It's never brought up. It's always how they're doing. But you know what? There may be people getting some stuff from Trade Point that we don't know because we're not at the table. You know, everybody should be part of that. The whole public here should be part of that. We own the water. Everybody on the shoreline, everybody inland owns the waters. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
we could do like a live meeting where we can all watch, like from the community, like we do here. Just do like a live meeting.
Yeah,
They have-
absolutely. Why keep this secret with a handful of people making our decisions?
Or they can advise down Trade Point. They got a big building down there, with a big meeting room this size, and all go down there, they can put chairs out and have a meeting.
Yeah, sure.
We all want to prosper, Fran. We all do. We all want to have a beautiful community.
No doubt about it.
We all do.
There's a lot of people in this room have invested a lot of time to make that happen.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that.
Okay, guys, I don't have anything else on here. That was a lot to absorb this meeting, and it was. I think it was very productive. I mean, we have to have dialogue. If there's all these questions that are unanswered, it's time to get answers to them. But let me just say, if the answers to the questions you're asking aren't what you want to hear, then I don't know what you have to decide. You just keep pursuing and pursuing. I think when we get these things on the meeting Monday, if that third party comes in with whatever they're analyzing, what you sent them, then we'll have something more to go on. But anyway, so, well, does anybody else have anything?
I'd like to say something.
Yes.
I haven't said a word about anything that's been going on, and I just want to make one comment. Being loud and mad, pointing fingers, and fighting among yourselves is not going to help. Okay? Everybody can have differences of opinion, and no one person can know everything. So it's important. No. Everybody behind me.
Oh, okay.
It's important that we show respect first for each other.
Of course.
And to know that, well, I did hear some finger pointing coming from your table about Fran should do this or Fran should do that. No. Let me finish, please. I get a turn. Okay? Maybe, but maybe he didn't have all the information. So by finger pointing at the council, instead of coming together as a unit and saying, hey, I discovered this, let's talk about it. What do you know? This is what I found out. Instead of saying, you should be doing this, or you should be doing that, or you should know more about this. We can't all know everything.
I'm not sure where you're going with that, but
I'm saying
we've never accused Fran of anything.
Come
So
to the table.
Fran's our gateway, by the way.
Yeah, and that's why the council does exist.
I understand that, and that's why people come to these meetings, to get the proper information, at least as a jumping off point, to find out more things, like the website. So now you can look it up on your own. Maybe you will find something that we overmissed, that we overlooked. But to say the council didn't do it right, or the council didn't bring this to the table, or we're not perfect, and we can't do everything. And by showing kindness to one another, by saying, hey, I found this, let's look into this further, instead of why didn't you already know it, which is kind of what you said.
Well, here's
And
the
it's
thing.
not fair.
I see it as a conflict of interest that Fran's our gateway through this council
Yes.
for this community.
Yes.
And he's sitting at the table
Yes.
as the only one, as a representative of this community. Well, there's many more mouths like mine.
Well, Keith, you're not really accurate on that.
Okay.
So Scott Pappas is on it, Brian's on it, Meva's on it. Meva has 2 people on the committee.
Okay.
Frank
there's-
Nihil.
and I don't remember who else. I mean, there's a ton of people. So it's not just the council. There are many people who have organizations, and now there's other organizations from Dundalk, Turner's. It's not just me in our area.
No, I know. I didn't say that. I
You
said,
did. You just said that.
I said you are our gateway. You are the man. You're not supporting Dundalk. You're supporting Edgemere and Sparrows Point.
I know, but I mentioned Pappas and Brian being on there, and
I don't look at those.
and Neva.
I don't look at those guys with credentials. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but
Well,
that's all I can say.
okay, it's not a big deal. I don't take it personal, but there are people other people who are on that committee, and I think they've tried to make it diverse. They've tried to get people from the Chamber of Commerce's and like I said, I don't know.
Okay.
Work in progress.
So, like I said, a lot went on tonight, a lot of good conversation. Let me just emphasize, and I was going to do this anyway, we really need some young people to step up. We've been doing this for 20 years now, and we need young people, and so consider, I'm asking people online, I'm asking people here, you're going to have to get involved at some point. Nobody really wants to step up. Everybody likes to volunteer. I love to go down Todd's and mow the grass, but there's a lot more to an organization than that, believe me. And that's the same with the council. We all have opinions, we all want to help, but there has to be an organization too, and it is work, but somebody's going to have to step up. Anyway,
Wait a minute,
I thank the board now, believe me. And,
Speaking of mowing the grass, mention that they're going to mow it. DNR's going to mow the grass.
oh yeah. Been a lot of controversy about the parking lot, looking all disheveled and overgrown. I know members of the community have been calling, and believe me, we've been beating our heads against the wall. And I just got an email today that the contractor's going to be out in the next couple days to clean that up. So we'll see. But yeah, that is good news. It's a mess. Anybody have anything else? Okay. All right, guys. Thank you all for coming. Thank you everybody for watching online, and we'll see you in September. God willing.